And welcome to the morning after. You know, we're that Christian based radio program that's dedicated to discussions about life and love and the way things ought to be. You know, we have a wonderful, wonderful show planned for you tonight. We're going to be talking about black women and marriage and love and relationship. We're going to be talking about the feminist movement. Have we become too strong? Do we know how to be soft? Is our strength actually, has it become our weakness? We have Counselor Tara here tonight. We have Reverend Terry Harris here tonight, who's going to delve into the scripture to give us light at the end of this very dark tunnel. We have our co-host, Natalie Hayes, and we have Mary Hubbard, our panelist, here with us tonight. So stay tuned for a wonderful discussion, a very open and honest discussion, as we do here at the morning after. Thank you for tuning in. Because we're going to continue our discussion on marriage and the black woman. We're going to do a series on marriage and the black woman because, guys, I don't know if you know this, but when you look statistically at black women, we have the lowest percentage of women who are married. In fact, I think the last statistic that I looked at was about 29%. Yeah, that's huge.
It's black women and Asian men are the lowest percentage.
Well, maybe black women need to marry Asian men.
That may be the case.
I don't even know what the answer is, but hopefully, tonight we're going to find some answers. Now, we're going to be talking to Tara, our counselor tonight. We're going to be looking at our Facebook debate, and you know, it got pretty heated, especially last week. I thought I was going to have to douse some water. Yes, indeed. So it got pretty hot last week. We're going to look at the Facebook debate, and we're also going to look at or talk with Reverend Harris. Reverend Terry Harris is going to be on the show tonight. He's going to take us all the way from Genesis to Revelation, y'all, and break down this whole concept, this whole idea of marriage, not per se the black woman, but marriage the way God intended it. So I'm excited about the show tonight. So what say we go ahead and get started?
Let's get started.
Okay. So last week's Facebook question. Now, do you have that one in front of you? Who has that one in front of you?
It says last week's discussion centered on feminism, the black woman in marriage, was a rich conversation filled with a variety of opinions. Let's continue this discussion. Please review the following YouTube clip by Queen Ali. Do you agree or disagree?
Now, that's the Queen Ali one. Now, the question from last week, that's what we've got to find. Let me grab that one for us.
Okay.
The question from last week, the one that just got all heated and folks just wanted to fight about the issue. But we looked at black women. We looked at the concept of feminism. That is so true. Give me just a second here to pull that up. And, okay, we're almost there. Almost there. Okay, so we're looking at the idea of feminism. Is this a question? Okay, so we looked at a couple of authors, and they wrote that marriage was on the decline in the black community. And we know that to be true. Because many, not all, black mothers, now they gave a reason for this decline. And this is what got people a little bit riled up. Because it said that black mothers and the black community members are teaching feminist messages that portray men and relationship in general as dangerous, and suggest that women value their career and education over their need for relationship. It even encourage women to take on the role of head of relationship. And the question was, do you agree or disagree that this is happening in the black community and in black families, especially those who are headed by women? So let's just go ahead and get your views on the issue before we get started. What were you guys on the matter before we started looking at what other folk had to say about it? What were you guys thinking?
You can go first.
Okay. I read that and I disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree because I think that black women are working really hard, but it doesn't take away from the family. Okay. It doesn't take away from relationships. If I still agree that if both parties have respect for one another, then things are going to work out.
Well, no, I don't think that it was saying that it's taken away from the family. I think think what it was getting at is that somehow or another is hindering there, but something is happening, y'all.
Something is happening.
Something
I
is
agree.
happening.
I think
that,
it's trying to say that we're too independent.
very much so.
But
Very much so.
You have to understand, and I am a single parent. I'm a single black woman, you know, and I have had to do a lot of things on my own. I could not wait for somebody to come and put together the entertainment center.
Mm-hmm.
If I needed it put together, I put it together myself.
Right.
When my daughter was probably 5, maybe, Santa Claus, quote unquote, bought her a kitchen set. So I get up at 3 in the morning, think I'm gonna put it, get it put together, and it took me forever. But guess who put it together?
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Right.
Now, does that mean that I can't sit back, because when Kevin wants to pump the gas, thank God I let him. I said, okay, baby, go right ahead, pump the gas. I'm glad to. I believe in gender roles. A lot of people don't, maybe because my parents are older. But I won't say that it's the parents' fault, but what are we supposed to do? Sit helpless waiting for somebody to come? You have to teach your child how to be self-sufficient, but the problem is when they have absolutely no examples of how a male-female relationship works.
Hence the conversation.
Right.
That somehow or another everything has been skewed because of this necessity. And we saw a lot of conversation that centered on this necessity. Black women had to do this because, if the men did this and da-da-da-da-da, that's not the question. That's not the point. The necessity goes without saying. But somehow the authors are insinuating that because of this necessity, let me see how I can put it. We have developed muscles that are not common to women. And out of this necessity, because we got to keep things going. We got to keep the family going. The entertainment center has to be put together. The toys have to be put together. However, what the author is insinuating is those very muscles that are hindering the black woman's ability to operate in relationship.
But and what I agree to a certain extent. I agree.
You agree?
When there is not another model. If my mother was a single parent, my grandmother was a single parent, my great grandmother was a single parent, and here I am, I decide I want to be in a God-filled, marital home. Well, then I don't know how to let a man lead.
There you go.
Because that's
what
all
the
I've
authors were
seen.
insinuating.
Now, in my case, yes, I did all of those things, but my parents, I came from a 2-parent home.
So you were able to see
I know how
an
to
example
flip the
of
role.
it.
Right. I know how to flip the role.
I think you just
and
hit
sit
it,
back.
Natalie. I think you just hit it. The idea is that we're unable, according to the authors, to flip the role. What do you think?
Well, I think it goes back to we'll have to read the scriptures, and I'm glad that Reverend Harris is going to be here.
Okay.
He can tell us more about the scriptures, because if we follow what the scriptures say, it's going to be our roadmap of how to.
I agree.
How to
See, these
flip
people
it, how to
already
flip
did
it.
follow the scriptures because they got babies without being married. So now what we got to teach them how to do is clean up the,
Right,
the situation
I think so
after.
too. But I think we're discussing about these muscles that are being formed because we have to be independent. But yet I think our black male is going to have to step up.
I
don't think that we could just become weak and ignore what we're becoming.
Now, it's
because he's
interesting that
having a
you use that
problem.
word weak. But isn't it interesting that you use the word weak? Because what the author is suggesting is viewed by a lot of women as weak. Guys, I want to actually go to some of those Facebook responses because a lot of people were fiery hot about this issue. And they're touching on a lot of what you guys are saying. Initially, Natalie, you were talking about the fact that, it's a necessity. And then viewing it as being weak. So let's go ahead. Pull one for me now.
Okay, so Ms. Johnson says, I will say it like this. I haven't heard these types of messages at my church or in the ones I have visited. Besides, there are some men who are against females in the pulpit this day and age. So many, if not most, still have the seen and not seen heard programmed in their brain.
So Ms. Johnson is basically saying she hadn't even seen it,
Right.
which was very interesting because I think a lot of times we may not even realize how we're coming across and the image that we are projecting. Now, I'm not saying that the authors were wrong or right, But if we look at it from their perspective, they're saying that we don't even know about how other people view us. And we got to admit, something is going on if only 29% of African American women are married.
Well, I will tell you this. She says she hasn't heard it, but people only listen to a small percentage of what you say. They watch your actions.
Mm-hmm.
So no, maybe you aren't saying, "I am woman, hear me roar."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, but when a man asks you, "Oh, can I open the door?" I can open the door.
Yeah, myself.
Yeah. What,
Mm-hmm.
you think something wrong with my hands?
Mm-hmm.
Or if he says, "Oh, would you like me to carry you?" You know, I'll carry your groceries to the car, just because. And I got it.
But I think we
You
all
know.
want to be treated nicely. I just have to interject that.
Well, I mean, you don't
We
get
can
out much
handle
do you,
that.
Miss Mary.
Well,
I have seen. I mean, for the most part, yes, we do.
Okay.
But because of situations that people have been in and they've been abused and beat, a lot of times every kind gesture they figure that means somebody wants something.
And there's something behind it. And I agree with you, Mary, that ideally all of us want to be treated nicely. However, I wonder if we know how to be treated nicely.
Or, exactly. Do we know how
What
to
does it look like
receive
to
the
receive
treatment?
it?
I think women as a whole, I think we do.
You think so?
Yes.
You don't
yes.
get out much. Miss Mary.
Oh, yes, I do. I get out a lot.
So what are you thinking, Mary? Are you thinking
Yes.
that the woman herself, she's not the problem? She's not the reason for the decline, the 29% marriage? You're thinking that is something else.
I do. I think
Okay.
it's the male. I'll have to put it on the male. It's not the woman.
Okay?
It's the male.
Okay. So there was a lot of people who agreed with you. And so let's get into those responses. And by the way, one of the reasons, and I guess people will ask, well, why didn't you just attack the whole male issue? What males need to be doing? We've heard that song and dance 57,899.2 times. That conversation is getting us nowhere. And I'm one that believes in empowering myself. Truly empowering myself. See, if you say it's somebody else's fault, if I say it's somebody else's fault, that means I can't change it. But if I take on some of the accountability, maybe there's something that can happen that can change it.
And I'm not implying that it's all women.
Oh, no.
You know, and I'm not
Okay.
implying that the whole thing is a woman's fault, because then I'd be saying that I'm unmarriable.
Right.
And I'm definitely not saying that. You
Right,
know.
I know.
But I am saying I think we do play a part. Now, again, some of the reason is, it's kind of an action and consequence thing. The first action was where the men weren't there. The next consequence was where the woman had to become the muscle in the house. The next action was you were the muscle in the house, so you ran the man away.
Right.
It's kind of like an avalanche. It's just rolling, rolling, rolling. But at the same time, there has to be a stop to it. There has to be some type of, break there.
Okay.
All right. So we look at Elaine Smith Hannon. She says, I agree that all you ever hear is get your education and your career. For some reason, marriage is a conversation that comes up later. Sometimes people can lose focus if they're in a relationship and trying to start a career at the same time. Some people have a hard time trying to balance the two. Do you guys think that that's something that we as mothers do? That we emphasize to our daughters now that it's more important that you get your career than it is for you to be in a marital relationship?
Yes,
I
I
think
agree.
so.
Because I do the same. I have 2 daughters. And the focus is get your career. But we also speak about getting married later.
Mm-hmm.
But educate yourself. Get strong. I guess that's the word.
Now, why is that the case? Why is it? Because it's at one point in time, and in other cultures.
We're in the 21st century.
No, but what does that mean?
Does that mean you're supposed to want to be alone?
Yeah.
No, it
I'm just
doesn't
throwing
mean
the
that.
question
It
out
means
there.
that we have to, I guess, catch up with what other cultures or ethnic backgrounds are doing.
The interesting thing is, the argument is that other cultures are not doing what it is that we're doing. You mean like career-wise or financially?
Both.
Financially.
Both. Career-wise as well.
But statistics say that most women marry up anyway, financially.
Okay.
That you marry up. And in other cultures, beforehand, not necessarily currently, I know that Caucasian sisters, they went to college to find a husband. You went. They said that you'll hear people say you didn't go to get your BS. You went to get your MRS.
And in other cultures, it is there's this whole concept of marriage and even prearranged marriages and how important the family unit is.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is that it is, guys, it's deeper than just women having men in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's deeper than that. When we begin to think about communities as a whole and the breakdown of the communities, when we start to look at statistics for men in prison, and you begin to look at how many of them actually had their father in the home, the numbers are overwhelming that these men were raised by single women. There is a breakdown, and it's huge. When you look educationally at some of the statistics of kids who are failing, and you can trace it back to the breakdown of the family. So it's a lot larger than just a woman having a man. It's about the family structure. It's about community. It's about crime rate. It's about health.
Well, I believe personally, and even if you look at job setups, everyone needs a mentor. You know, for everything that you do. When you go to a job, you become a new teacher. What do? They give you a teacher as your mentor.
Sure.
Well, when you're getting ready to become a wife, you kind of need a mentor. If you did not have your mother as that mentor.
And Natalie, I think that you're in the solution phase right now, because that's so true. And that is one of the things that has been happening. If you don't have a role model to follow, if you don't have an example, and you said that, on how to even be woman, how to be soft, then literally you're going to run into a problem. But guys, let's get to Tawana O'Malley. And y'all know T. T was one of the co-hosts for our shows, and she was just fiery hot over this issue. She says, as I've said many times before, black women are playing the hands that their male counterparts dealt them. And now society want to blame black women for being card sharks. To a large degree, yes, black women are sending the message overtly and covertly that black men are not needed, but it's because black men have made themselves scarce in the home and lives of black women and children. Surviving and thriving have become a must-do, and black women are smart, crafty, and beautiful. They found ways to make the impossible possible. Mary, is that what you're thinking?
It's sort of what I'm thinking, but I think she said it nicely.
Then say it not so nicely. Make it plain.
I think it's just that we had to step up in areas that were needed. And it doesn't make us any less beautiful. It doesn't make us soft. It doesn't make us, strong. I just think we just had to fill in what was needed, where it was needed.
The question is, I think, then becomes, is there a time when it's not needed? And is that the breakdown? Is that the problem?
I think that...
Do we have to be strong all the time, Mary?
No, but I think it can complement... It's going back to relationship. It can complement a relationship. It's going to depend on that other half.
Mm-hmm.
If he's going to accept it, if he wants it. I would have to use myself as an example. My husband loved my strength.
Mm-hmm.
He likes it. And I think a lot of men love a strong woman. We've just got to learn how to work together. And it goes back to my favorite word, respect.
Respect. Now, let's define what we mean by strong. Because strong, the way you make it sounds so beautiful.
Yes,
Okay.
it
It sounds so beautiful. It is lovely. It's like, I am strong. It's not, I am woman, hear me roar.
Yeah,
It's not some of the feminist verbiage that we've heard. It is not the I don't need a man attitude. No. Yours is one of strength, and I think we need to differentiate. So what do you mean by strength? I am strong and my husband loves my strength. And who don't want to be strong in the manner that you're talking about? But describe that.
Well, the
for
strength
us.
is something that I'm speaking of, is something that complements the woman. It says, I also can pump my own gas if need be. If you don't feel like getting out right now, I can do it as well. We can do this together. You can pump, I can pump. It means that I'm equipped to do whatever is necessary.
You're just
Yes.
looking, and you're just looking. What are you thinking?
And I think it's okay. It complements us. Strength complements us. And I just believe that.
Well, I agree with her 150%, because again, my daughter's 18 and I have, reared her by myself the entire time. So obviously, I have done all of these things to myself, by myself. But on the same note, I whatever. I guess you have to know the person you're dating.
Correct.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. It's
Guys, let me
individual.
interrupt you for just a second because we have a caller and I want to talk with this caller and see what they have to say. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. This is the morning after.
Hi.
Hi there. How are ya?
I'm great. I was just calling to add a comment, I guess.
Okay, go ahead with your
Or a
comment.
different perspective, possibly.
Sure, go ahead, please.
Okay. All right, well, so I consider myself to be a strong black woman as well. But, I mean, I guess I'm just also really happy. So I think that being strong and being happy are not opposites. I think that men are attracted to, like, a happiness or carefree spirit that a lot of black women get boggled down with, like, the stuff that they have to do, and so they feel, like, tired all the time. They're not smiling and blah, blah, blah. But also on the other end of the spectrum, like, I don't really have a problem attracting guys. And when I evaluate these guys, like, because I only date black guys, they're completely unreliable. And it's kind of shaping the way I view relationships and kind of my actions. And although I'll always hold on to that happiness, like, I have black friends who only date white guys because they don't appreciate the way that black men treat them.
Okay. So, from your perspective, it has a lot to do with not just a black woman's strength, but how she regards her strength. If it is something that she feels empowered by, something that makes her happy, something that brings her joy and peace, then it is something that is attractive, and it attracts. But it is when it becomes a burden and we become grouchy and mean and hateful, and you see us walking down the street with the knitted brows and we're just mad at the world.
Right. She said a key word.
Right. But
She
there
said she's
is a
happy.
reason why that happens. Like I said, like, countless times I've tried to depend on guys, but at this point, like, I don't even really, not only do I not ask for their help, but when they offer it, I don't really accept it because they'll offer me help, and then I'll accept it, and then I'll be counting on them, and then they never come.
Okay.
So, like, am I gonna like depend on you again?
Well, now here's the thing. I don't think that we can ever at any point in time say that we can speak or we can even find a representative group of all black men. I think that what we're looking for is, or we're looking at, is when you have found the man and you are in relationship, you are in marriage, and then what? And then how do you behave?
But that's what shapes you in your marriage, is your previous relationship.
Exactly. Hence the issue that we're having is that there's gotta be this moment for the woman, and it's not just black woman here, for people in general, where you're able to put the past in the past and leave it there. And I think we're gonna, when we get into our scriptures tonight, I think that that's where we're gonna find the key to this problem. I think what we're failing to do, and thank you so much, caller, for calling in. Please continue to listen to the morning after. Thank you. But the truth of the matter is that when we get into the scripture, I think what we're going to find is that we don't have follow through in the scripture. It cannot be that the scriptures apply only to other relationships. They don't apply to marital relationships. Forgiveness, laying it at Christ's feet, all of those things are necessary for a good relationship to take place. So let's look at some more of these Facebook quotes. Did you find one?
Oh, well, I was going to make a statement.
Sure.
On Sunday night, my guy and I were having a conversation about marriages and some of the reasons that, things don't work out. And he says that a lot of people, most people, especially women, we go to work and we put everything we have into our jobs. And then when we get home, we don't have any effort left to put into our kids, our home, and our family.
Wow.
And then we become complacent and just say, well, it's supposed to work out because we're here.
Wow. That's something that we don't work at.
Right.
And I think last week when we were looking at the question we were shaping it, one of the things we said was that marriage works, but it is work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Let's look at Leah Skinner. Somebody want to read that one for us, please? You got that? Anybody got that one up?
I just have one short one that
Yeah,
she says,
that's
I couldn't have said it any better.
Right
Oh,
here,
I got
up
it right
above
here. I
that.
got it.
Yes, honey. She's
Okay.
bad right there.
I agree. That is a feminist movement of sorts, one that has derived from what I call a realist movement, grown out of necessity. The author is absolutely incorrect in their assessment because not one of us would say that we don't want to be married or that we do not love, cherish, and respect black men. My church and pastor preaches about love, marriage, and respect for each other. The reality of it is that there actually is a shortage of good black men who are doing the right thing. This is not propaganda. It is just a fact. Therefore, a black woman has to adapt by gaining an education and career to be self-sufficient, just in case that prince in shining armor doesn't arrive to save the day. In fact, in order to get married and stay married to a black man, you have to put up with more BS than I'm willing to put up with. I would elaborate, but that's for another show.
Okay, see, now, guys, this is what I'm talking about. She hadn't even met him yet.
Yes.
But automatically we assume that you're going to be putting up with BS. Because somehow or another we've gotten the message in our head that where we equate black men with bull.
Yes.
We bought into the propaganda. I'm thinking that we have, lady.
Oh no,
It
I'm
seems
not
like it's by her
disagreeing because
comment.
I am personally here saying today that, and I don't know if there's such thing as a Prince Charming, but I love Kevin, but
Be careful, honey. You got to go home.
yeah, I do.
Yes.
But what I will say is that prior to meeting him, I met. Can I get such $60 to pay my phone bill? I met. Are you serious? I can't get none just because we just met.
Oh.
I got. You got $100 I can have.
Yeah.
I got 5 baby mamas. Is that a problem?
Wow.
Or even I met one that had. I think he had five kids, but he lied about how many kids he had, and he lied about how many baby mamas he had. And one of the kids told me about the other baby mama. So you can. And maybe we're fishing in the wrong pond, some of us.
Maybe that is the case. But I was walking down the street. We were out shopping, my daughter and I, and literally, I was walking down the breezeway, and I met an interracial couple, black man, white woman. I went up the steps, and I met another one, literally, and right around the corner, I met another one, literally 3 back to back. Now, it may be that the ones that you're in that pond are not valuable and are BS and bad, but there's some that are going to other races that quite honestly they don't think are so bad.
But I'll tell you, and this, if I offend somebody, I'm so sorry. I feel like that black men hold higher standards for us than they do some of the other race women that they date.
Really? Now, why would you say that?
Okay. Again, please forgive me if someone feels a certain type of way, but I know this. I'm just speaking from personal experience. I've been with guys that, and I'm not huge. I wear between a 10 and a 12. I'm 4'11", so that makes me more plus than some, I guess you would say. I've met guys that said, "Oh, have you ever thought about, maybe you need to lose weight, maybe you need to, da 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 da." And then I'll see, some of these interracial couples with some of these women, and they are ginormous. Like, wear a 24. Now, I wear a 10 or a 12. And she the same height as I am.
I think
But if you were with me, I would need to go work out. But you okay with her.
Why do you think that is, Natalie?
I don't know what she does, but I'm just knowing that.
No, you
if I got to
assuming
get
that she's doing something.
She's doing something.
Could it possibly be based upon, I'm not playing the devil's advocate because I'm not in the devil's corner.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm just trying to get us to think for just a moment. Could it possibly be that she has an attitude that is completely different from the attitude that not necessarily you, but some of our counterparts may be displaying? Well, maybe there's an attitude of humility.
She go ahead. What you well.
All right, so let's move on from that particular conversation. And we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to look at, I want you to hear a video clip, lady, from a lady by the name of Queen Ali. And boy, did she get our Facebook people just rip-roaring mad this week. I think they wanted to barbecue me. I'm going to say that wasn't me. That was Queen. Right. Yes, indeed. So we're going to be back. We're going to be back right after this message. And good evening and welcome back to the morning after. We've been knee-deep in a conversation about the black woman, feminism, and marriage. And we've been looking at the statistics that only 29% of African American women are married. We're trying to look at it from a different perspective rather than looking at it from the whole black male perspective, but to try to look to see if there is anything that is happening with the black woman that can shift or change or be made better or something, and so that's our conversation for tonight. Now, there's a number where you can call in and add your comments.
If you would like to call in, the number is 657-383-1829. Again, that number is 657-383-1829.
Okay, well, excellent. So do call us. We'd love to hear from you, especially those people who are listening to us live at the moment. Now, we had a clip that we posted because we just wanted to generate conversation. That's what the Facebook posts are about. And you kind of have to appeal to everybody, when you put it on Facebook. And you kind of have to put out something that you know is going to get people's attention with all of the stuff that comes across Facebook, something that is going to at least get them to thinking. So what we found was a clip by a lady by the name of Queen Ali, and we know that she has a following, and then she have people who want to follow her for reasons other than liking her. So we're going to play just a bit of her clip, and then we're going to look at some of the Facebook responses as well as get your responses, ladies, on what Queen is saying.
My position is that the black woman's disrespect and rebellion against the leadership and the authority of the black man is a direct cause of the breakdown in our black family structure. Now, of course, there are many black people who consider those fighting words because as black women, we have never been subject to the kind of examination that our men have been subject to since we have been here. We have been somewhat protected and shielded from any kind of critiquing about our personal behavior, whereas our men have always been up for examination. The book is not an attack on black women. I have never said that all black women do everything that I list in my book. None of us have lived long enough to do everything that I list in the book, but most of us do some of the things that I've listed in my book. And I do say that it is not because of generalizations that we are all victimized by some of the negative patterns of behavior in the book, but the book just represents our collective contribution. This is some of everything that we have done, or that we do daily, that contributes to the breakup of our relationship, the destruction of our man, and the failure of our children to be able to function. They did not tell us that all of that, being my own person and I'm independent, would lead to separation, loneliness, celibacy, and lesbianism. They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man. I don't even know how we got that mixed up. Ain't none of that got nothing to do with being with no man. We have some serious relationship problems that nobody has been able to address us on because everybody wants to pretend that this is not going on. Over 60% of our women are single, widowed, separated, or divorced. They don't have a man. I just came out of Florida, and they got a housing complex that the Urban League built, which is a black organization that is for women and children only. They say they don't allow any men in there. I didn't have time to deal with it, but I talked about them real bad. That's the silliest program I've ever heard of. You know them women that had men.
Okay,
You know
that's enough from Queen. Ladies, you heard all that Queen had to say. What are some of the reactions that you had to her comments?
I agree with some of what she is saying.
Okay, tell us what you agree with and what you don't agree with.
And I am not a conspiracy theorist. But if you think of the way that some of the government agencies are set up, like that Urban League, only women and children can stay. Section 8, you're not supposed to have a man to stay there. A lot of the welfare, if you have even if he's working, unless it's a farming, how many black people farm? Mm-hmm. My family does, but not, a whole lot. These types of things are almost like they are set up to keep us separated. You think, I've heard, back in the day, you'd hear people say, well, I can't work too much because I don't want to mess up my food stamps. Well, me and him, we didn't get married because when the Section 8 people come, he have to take his stuff, and it can't be in the house.
Now this is very real.
And I have heard this.
It's very real. I've seen this. I grew up in the housing projects, and I knew that men were snuck in to the women's homes. They'd come in the evenings when the housing project was closed down or on the weekend, and Baby John's daddy was here this weekend, and they would have full relationships. As in, it wasn't like my mama was seeing somebody else or the dad, whatever. It's just that they were not married, because if they were married, then literally she could no longer live in that housing project with her children.
And he couldn't afford with the job he had.
It reminds me of that movie Claudine.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
Claudine with James Earl Jones.
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
we're gonna have to see it. Tell us a
okay.
little bit.
Well, basically the story was the same. Claudine, she was, I forgot the actress that played Claudine, but she basically had children and she was unmarried, and she wanted to marry James Earl Jones, but she was on welfare in this home, and the welfare agent would come by, and of course she would hide different things in her home, and then it was this big thing. She wanted to marry him, but she couldn't because she would lose her welfare. But in the end, I think they did get married, and which meant that he would have to, I think, got a better job so that he could take care of them. I think that's how the story ended.
So basically what Queen is saying, and what the movie is pointing out, and what you were alluding to, Natalie, was this conspiracy theory that there are these factors out there other than black women.
Well, she didn't say black family.
That are breaking down the black family. But then Queen is saying that black women are contributing to it with their attitudes and the things that they're doing. And then this whole feminist mindset that I got my own career, I got my own this, I got my own that, I don't need you.
The Bible says it's not good for man to be alone. It didn't just mean man. People will tell you can sing, dance, jump around. Everybody want to be with somebody.
Right.
I don't believe that led to lesbianism. I thought that was the most outlandish thing I've heard in my life.
What was she basically saying with that? She said
that when you said you were independent, nobody told you it was going to lead to you being a lesbian, you being...
Oh, I guess she said that you not only are you forming those muscles, but now you got some huge, you're taking on the personality of a man as well.
Yeah.
That you want to be in the leadership position, you want to run the relationship, things of that nature. So you don't see that connection, but you agree with Queen. What are you thinking, Mary, with regard to Queen?
I disagree with what she's saying altogether. I don't think that let's see, I actually wrote in some comments.
Let's see what you said. Okay.
Why don't you read? I go to what I wrote.
Okay. Let me see, Mary. I'm okay, because I'm not seeing your comment. Here you go. The video of Shahrazad. Let's
call her Miss Ali.
Miss Ali. You can do that.
Miss Ali. Yes.
Queen. It was very powerful and full of issues that affect our family and relationship. And I agree with all of her statements. Yet, I have to inject that we must look at our situation on a personal level. It's great to speak about a group of people as a whole, but when it comes down to it, as a woman's relationship with her husband or significant other, the bottom line is respect. So it goes back to your respect words. But you agree with what Queen was saying. Ooh, boy, some of my folk would have just ripped you apart because of that. You know, someone said, let me go back to it. And everybody, but you know, it's interesting because nobody said they didn't agree with what Queen was saying.
I think because the fact of the matter is, you said that 29% of black women are not married.
So you can't debate that.
You can't debate that. That's a fact.
What's fact is fact.
Yes,
but
fact.
What
Right.
they disagreed with was, I think, how she packaged it.
She's an extremist.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And am I wrong to think that she's of Muslim descent?
I'm assuming that she is.
And I think they do teach their women to be subservient.
Subservient and not submissive?
Even more than submissive, because you can be submissive and still be your own person.
What's the difference between the two?
Well, you know, I think in some, not all, and I don't want any, you know, because I don't study Islamic culture, so don't nobody call up here and chop my head off. You know, call, but don't chop my head off. But, you know, you kind of have to walk behind your man, and I know in church they have to sit on different, they still, to this day, the women sit on one side and the men sit on another one.
Really?
I don't know if the women are allowed to speak in church.
So you think that it is because of her religious perspective that she has this perspective regarding? So it does not ring true for Christian women?
Not that she has this perspective, but that she's so extreme and
With it, the way she packaged
overly expresses it. You know, because I can say the same.
But how did she overly express it?
You know, she's in a rant. You know, and I think women people tend to take what they say. You can draw more flies with honey than you can vinegar.
How could she have sweetened it?
Um,
Well, I mean, the thing she said,
I guess sort of like what I said.
Yeah,
that
you know,
these characteristics or these muscles that we're growing they're good.
They're good muscles.
They're good muscles. And I said that they were powerful muscles. But yeah, I think she could have sweetened that instead of just saying that it's a bad thing.
She just
I think that's what I took up, that it was a bad thing.
She just give you your coffee black. She don't put no sugar.
No sugar at all. No cream, no sugar.
She give it to you cowboy. She give it to you cowboy style.
I understand. Okay, all right. So, whoa, but Queen didn't have a lot of followers on our Facebook page. That's for sure. They did not disagree with what Queen was saying, but there was a lot of disagreement with how Queen was packaging it. And basically, we had here Tracy Cruz. Tracy said that she was familiar with Queen, and she referred to some of the earlier statements that Queen had said. So she didn't necessarily disagree with what Queen was saying, but she said Queen's character and what she'd seen coming from her in the past may have led to her perspective or added to the extremism that you were speaking to earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, we have one more clip I want you guys to listen to. This is about a 50-second clip I want you to listen to. As soon as we get an opportunity, we're going to listen to that. Just a little bit of a technical glitch right there.
I know, just listening to all of this, I mean, honestly, if you think about a lot of what is being said, again, I'm speaking from, you know, a single black woman's perspective. I mean, it all kind of plays in, but I do feel like as mothers, if you see that you are, well, let me reverse a little bit because there's something I wanted to say earlier. I was listening to a song on the way down here, okay? It was playing on the radio, and I was on the phone, and it was this rapper, Lil Bootsy, you know. He was real big when I was in college. He just get out of jail.
Lil Bootsy.
Yeah. He was
I ain't Lil Bootsy.
real big when I was in college, you know. He was really big, and because I'm from Mississippi, came here from Hattiesburg, and it's right next to New Orleans, you know. So the song was on, and he was talking about I had to learn to be a man. He said, and the guy that was singing the hook, I think it was Rich Homie Quan, I think. And he said,
Rich
my mama,
Homie Quan.
yes,
Okay,
he
go
said,
ahead.
my mama didn't have money to pay bills. I had to go out in the street and be a man. I had to slang to work because I had to be a man. Slang to work means sell drugs for people that don't know that. When they caught me, I took my charge because I had to be a man. And when we were sitting here talking, it just simply made me think, what are we teaching our kids that being a man is? Because, again, we have all of these homes with no father, so we have no model for these young men on what being a man truly is. And then all they hear is the radio, because the majority of us listen to 107.9, listen to whatever. And this song was playing on the regular radio, because I'm just flipping stations as I'm, riding. And it, when I heard who it was, I said, oh, let me see, let me hear. You got a new song, This is what your son is hearing. So now, if he...
Are you referring to the fact that he said he had to go to the streets to learn to be a man?
He had...
Well, no. Teach you how to be a man?
Being a man was going to sell drugs.
Okay.
Not going to fill out a job application.
Mm-hmm. So
not going to school, not going to church. I mean,
where was he going to get this from?
Get what?
The street, I think.
No, where was he going to get this whole model? The role model.
This was on
I know this was on the radio, but where was he going to get something other than what was on the radio?
That's the point I'm making.
Okay.
We, as black single women, and I have a daughter, but we have these sons that we don't have any uncles, anybody around to show them. All they have to hear is this type of stuff, what I heard today.
Well, one of the things
so
Queen was actually saying, Natalie, is that that a woman cannot raise a man. How do you feel about that? A woman cannot raise a man. That a man needs another man as a model to follow.
I think so, and then I think it will have to go into the extended family. Hopefully, somewhere in the family, if you don't have a male in that particular household, there's an uncle, a grandfather, and if not, then look toward the church. Hopefully, there's some males there that can be mentors, or even the school system. And I've seen some ladies that have raised decent men
with most of the time
help on the outside of the home.
Yeah, but a lot of times you have situations where they don't. I never forget my second year teaching. This little boy I taught wasn't a little boy, but of course he was in high school. I ain't gonna finish school. My daddy got his GED in jail. My brother got his GED in jail. All my uncles got their GED in jail. I'm gonna get my GED in jail. I was teaching in alternative school, and I was a little bit younger, and I heard what he's saying, and it hurt my heart. But the older I get, and the more I see, and the more people I see, this is the mentality of a lot of children. They don't even expect to finish. And we as single women, your dad ain't no good, or man ain't no good. Well, what do you think he's gonna be when he grows up?
Well, I think that may be a particular woman that you're speaking of, but the strong woman that we're speaking of, who's now educated, we know that some shows we're not going to let our child watch certain television shows or listen to certain music.
Mary, I'm wondering how many. I think sometimes we are guilty.
You don't think that's reality?
Yeah, I think that sometimes we're guilty of projecting onto everyone. I have defended black women down to the ground. I mean, I'll beat you down, throw a brick at you, fight a brick over a black woman, and then sometimes I hear some of the things that we're saying and some of the things that we're doing. Hence this conversation, to look and turn the lens on ourselves for once. All that you're saying is absolutely true. All that our caller said regarding the types of people she's encountering, all of that is true. Yes. But at what point in time do we begin to look at ourselves as black mothers, as black women, and what can we do? How can we gain our power back?
Yeah,
because now, we seem to be saying, and Ali was saying, the one thing I didn't agree with her is that it is that conspiracy moment. I don't believe that anyone can cause you to do anything. Now, they can have a huge impact, but the decisions that we make are our decisions.
Correct.
I didn't mean that was the
no, I
just mean
one
of the
factors.
Yeah, it's just
one of the factors.
No, not what you were saying. What Miss Ali was saying.
Yeah.
What I want to do is I want to play this clip, and I want to get you ladies' response on this clip. Okay.
It is rumored that we were soft. Had cumulus cloudy laps a man could lay his troubles upon, honey-dipped tongues that spoke sweetness in the mornings, embraces that chased the devil away, we were soft. Rumor has it that we could tame the beast in a man with a whisper. Grew and glued our families together. We were angels that walked on land, a silent strength. We uplifted each other. We were soft. I don't know exactly what happened. We are hard now. Rigid, bruised, and broken, we've lost our magic. Now we curse the morning. Where is our elegance and mystery, our dignity and grace? For our daughter's sake, we were soft, weren't we?
Those images.
Yeah,
Just
because
changed drastically.
yeah, and what you guys were not able to see, those of you who are listening to us live on the radio, was we went from very soft images of females in the 1950s, 1960s to what you may see in videos today. Women who who are exposing their flesh, who are just really putting it out there. So we went from the image on the video went from a very soft image to a very hard image. Ladies, your reaction on that?
I think it's absolutely true. I mean, just even, and not just in videos and pictures. I teach high school. You hear little girls, cute little girls, la, 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 coming down the hall. They're not even talking about anything. They sound like empty wagons squeaking. You know.
Where's the softness?
Yeah.
Where's the femininity?
Where's the femininity? And I tell them, we're just old. And I have a lot of old sayings because my parents are older. My grandmother was older. And I say, ladies should be seen and not heard. What do you mean? I said, your beauty should be so intriguing that you don't have to say a word and you can still stop a man in his tracks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mary, your reaction to the video?
The images I'm still stunned by the images because it's been transformed in such a way. We were once beautiful and now we're not. What I saw, so I was in shock.
And just our, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That alone has changed because every woman that, they showed prior was a beautiful woman. And looking at that picture, was gorgeous. They were gorgeous. But now to be considered, quote unquote, gorgeous, you have to do so much more. It was, and I watch a lot of TV and read too. It was a movie called Rest in Peace. It was a comedy, Rest in R.I.P.D. or something. And the people supposedly came from another life. They were rested souls. Anyway, the man on there, he was supposed to be like 200 years old. And he said that when he was growing up, if you saw a woman's wrist or her ankles, no, it was her ankles. The guy on there, he was like, why are you always looking down at people's feet? He said, when I was coming up, a woman's ankles was the sexiest thing in the world.
Wow. See more than ankles now.
Baby, that's all. Look, sometimes they had ankles covered and everything else be out.
Wow, ladies, we're going to go ahead and go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to have conversation with Tara, our counselor. We're going to try to get into the psyche of where women are and what's going on with black women in this day and age. So we'll be back right after the commercial break.